if you start doing some digging and looking up where did marriage come from, start doing some digging, monogamy, start doing some digging on all of the stuff that we've been programmed to believe, you'll start to be able to understand it in a deeper way. Like, I don't know if I would use the word cheating anymore, right? A lot of people will, though, to understand it, because I don't think it's necessarily about cheating, it's about deception.
Yeah.
You follow me? Right?
What's going on, family? David Shands. I want to give you a special invitation to the Morning Meetup, themorningmeetup.com. It is the only organization that gathers every single morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we help you learn entrepreneurship, grow as an entrepreneur, become an entrepreneur, or you just get to be in an environment, a network of all entrepreneurs. Literally hundreds of entrepreneurs gather on a Zoom call every single morning, Monday through Friday, okay? So I want to give you a special invitation to help grow your business and your brand all this year, okay? Every single day. You eat every day for your health. You brush your teeth every day for your hygiene. I need you to learn and grow every single day for your mindset, okay? So make sure you go to themorningmeetup.com. It is only $1 trial. You don't need a promo code. Just go $1, themorningmeetup.com. Check it out. If you like us, stay. If not, after that, it's $79 a month. But I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy yourself, okay? So go to themorningmeetup.com. I love y'all. See you in the morning.
The Social Proof Podcast. Streaming now on all platforms.
Yeah, you come and give me a kiss. Y'all better act like y'all know salt and pepper.
I don't know that one.
Better make it fast, or
Joe, how old
else
are you?
I'm
How
gonna
old are you?
get pissed. How old are
I'm
you?
39.
39.
Are you kidding me?
So you
I
should
don't
know.
know that one.
Push it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I know that part.
I don't know the lyrics. I don't know the lyrics like that.
That part.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. I was
yeah,
about to
yeah,
say,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
do salt, pepper,
We
and
got you.
skin.
We got you.
Welcome
Not
to the
today.
Social Proof Podcast, where we find people who have social proof that actually built something, experts in their field and in their career and in their life, man. And we had a special guest today, Dr. Joe Johnson. How are you?
What's up, bro? I'm great.
Everything's up, man. Everything's up. It's 2020. Everything's up. Excited to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, it's actually 2021 right now because I don't know when it's I slipped on that
Somewhere
one.
around there.
And we got Donnie. So real quick, we got to jump into how was your week in the life of a business owner, entrepreneur?
Great. But let me use a better word, blessed, because I think so many people have been complaining about 2020,
Yeah.
right? When you have the opportunity to connect with people who will give you even more energy, right?
Yes.
Did we turn you up so
Man,
hard? Are you
man.
turned up right now?
Yep. There you go.
Good. All right, that's awesome, man. Donnie Wiggins, what's up?
Everything is up. It's always up. It's
Yeah.
always up.
Your Clubhouse numbers are up.
Clubhouse is popping.
Well, you need to help me because I need to learn about
Yo,
the Clubhouse
she's killing it. Like the way she moderates the room and like the value that she's able to give. You're a speaker too. So some speakers, they're good at what they do in terms of speaking, but they need the hands and they need the activity to actually get it across, right?
Yeah.
But the way Dottie just paints pictures, man, I always big her up. That's my sister.
Same with Shands. I think we have this hidden affiliate agreement in place because we don't make any money. No, seriously, it's just, I think when you are groomed with certain entrepreneurs, and Shands and I met each other kind of at pivotal points in our career, I think we were both like having our own paradigm shift independently. So it's just been a blessing to watch it. Were you going to ask about my week though?
No. So my week was really good, man. My Clubhouse, just hosting rooms on Clubhouse is really, really cool.
Yeah, Shands has it down to a science. You have Clubhouse down to us. What are you at, like 10,000 followers or something?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, like 5. But the cool thing is 5,000 followers on Clubhouse is
God.
like a 500,000 on Instagram because it's so new. Nobody
is.
has more than 20,000 followers.
Right.
Nobody.
Well, I need to get on board with that.
You got to really early.
Yeah.
You have
Really
to
early.
participate. That's how you're going to increase your followers.
Okay.
Just got to be on the
You
app.
just got to be on the app.
Yeah.
I'm about to be like Maddie with like 2 phones. I have another phone. I can't find the charger for it.
Different.
But I'm about to have my 2 phones popping. And yeah,
Maddie
that's about
really
to
be
me.
in 2 rooms at the
He
same
be in
time.
2
Almost
rooms.
all day though.
All day.
Yeah.
So funny. So my week, Were you finished with your week?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
wasn't done yet. So that was cool. Really, really productive. And I'm starting to get this warm, burning feeling to start mapping out exactly what I want to accomplish in 2021. I should have done it earlier, but as we get closer to the year, it's like, I want more. I'm going deeper in terms of everything, just next level thinking. So it's a very productive week. Business as usual is going really, really well. So how about you, Donnie?
My week is awesome. I last week started this 100 Days of Believing challenge. It's a journal by a young lady, Marshawn Evans. She's the wife of a friend of mine.
Did she just have some
Triplets.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I started that 100 Days of Believing Bigger, and her book is amazing. Like, I don't even know her in real life. Y'all go get that. And so this week has been like what you were saying, talking about 2021, what we're looking for, what we're looking to accomplish, just anyway, generally off of that. And then, I had a family emergency recently that, that coupled with that has you looking at the rest of your life and you're like, okay, it's time to take this to the next level. So 2021, you ever been told that your goals are not big enough unless they scare you? I got some scary goals. I have some scary goals. So I am excited about the upcoming year.
I love it.
Good.
Or the current year.
The current year, depending on when you're watching this. So, Dr. Joe Johnson, we're happy to have you on the show, man. If you will, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, like what you do and your expertise, because you are needed in this world right now in terms of your message, your expertise. You are a real doctor. It's not just a title for Instagram.
Right.
You know, you got to ask me. I had to ask me today, like, are you a real
doctor?
Or is it just
like you went to school for it? Not played around with it.
Right. Go on and introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, so, I always tell people that, I'm not going to give you my resume, right? I'm not going to give you the piece of paper, but this is the thing. I've had the luxury and I've been blessed to work with companies like Toyota, FedEx, the National Guard, institutions like University of Michigan, UCLA, and a lot of individuals. And what I say is I'm all about allowing individuals and helping them to unleash their purpose, right? You hear find your purpose, discover your purpose.
Right.
But if you really understand purpose, if it's a God-given thing, it's already in you. So it's about unleashing it. You don't got to find it, right?
Sure.
And so that's what I do. And I think more important is there's pieces of what individuals have to do in order to align themselves with their purpose, right? And so I'm talking about healing, right? That's a big thing right now with all the stress going on this year. I'm talking about getting rid of toxic relationships, right? Toxic beliefs, toxic thoughts. And so my thing is all about helping individuals align with their purpose. And for so many of us, and this might hurt a few feelings. People always talk about dream big, follow your dreams. That's cool. But if you really look at the research, about 52% of Americans hate what they do every day, right?
That's true.
Another 71%, they're disengaged at work. So that tells you there's a disconnect in this dream big, follow your dreams. But what happens if we begin to shift the narrative to, have you thought about your purpose? It's a whole nother ballgame.
Instead of chasing the desire, chase what you're awesome at authentically.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you travel the country, you speak. What's your degree in? What's your doctorate in?
So my doctorate is in counselor education from the University of Florida. Counselor education. Which consists of like mental health counseling, marriage and family, school counseling. So there's different layers to counselor education.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So I want to just kind of kick it off with a conversation that we were having. And I mean, I want to frame it correctly, because you teach people how to heal and you empower people all across the country. And a few months ago, we were having this conversation and you were in a really, really bad place. And people expect the ones that's on stage, the person to be that's empowering others, that we don't need empowerment too. So you went through a real tough situation with your spouse, right? You like to talk about it?
Oh yeah. I'm super open, open. I think that a lot of people have been telling me since I was younger, oh, you have a nice smile. So I'm always smiling. I love to smile, right? Because that creates the ability to nourish and develop relationships. And when somebody smiles at you, don't just look at them like say, "Hey, how you doing?" Right. But some months ago when I was here in Atlanta, and I got to make sure, I met you through a good friend, Tommy, right? And I told him, I said, "Man, I'm going through it." You know what I mean? And I've been married almost 10 years. And I think part of the issue that a lot of people have is we try to do what everybody else says our relationship should look like, right? Mm-hmm. Church tells us it should look like this, right? Society says it should look like this. And we don't understand that you have to create whatever your relationship is going to be. But part of understanding that is first understanding yourself. And if you haven't healed from some of the things that you've been through as an individual, it's going to impact your relationship. So like I was telling you earlier, I grew up, and some people call it the hood. And when you learn from your parent or guardian how to survive, right? And it's like, make sure you're able to do it on your own, or make sure you're tough. Make sure you can do whatever. When you bring survival mode mindset into a partnership, right? Ooh. It's going to impact it in a way where either it's going to look like you're super selfish, or you're not going to be able to receive what's necessary for both of you all to grow the way you need to.
Wow.
And I was stuck in a survival mindset, and I started to do things that really just created a divide between my partner and I.
Like, what were some of those things?
Yeah, so some of those.
Donnie had some questions too. I'm sorry. What were some of those things?
Yeah, so some of those things were, as an entrepreneur. So I like to say it like this: I played ball growing up. Played ball in college, had opportunities to work out in front of NFL teams. And when that didn't work, I needed a career that gave me the same high as playing sports, right? You have people watching you, is the energy that you get. And speaking was that. Mm-hmm. So when I first started speaking and getting out here, I learned like, man, this is a grind. You got to know how to hustle. You got to know how to get it. And I started to move all my focus from my family, because I have 2 sons as well, from my family to just work. So everything was focused on work. And it was all about, I got to get to the bag. It was almost like, even if it wasn't in my lane per se, I was like, I need that money. I got bills to pay, right? And so it was tearing us apart. And I ended up stepping out, right? I ended up, women who see me talk about my family, I would get off the stage and they're like, are you married? You just saw a whole presentation with my family.
You saw the picture.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Talking about, your wife is cute, but are you? You know what I mean? And
really?
But can we talk later? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've literally never had that. I've never, people say, the married man is more attractive and stuff like that. I've never.
You must ain't paid attention to it then.
You're not paying attention.
Yeah, because it's there. I know for a fact, like, David.
So if you're receptive to it, right, you'll notice it.
Yeah.
But I think you're so turned off by it that you don't even see certain stuff. It's just like any other behavior that you're not in tune with, you don't even pay attention to it. Yeah. When this began to happen in your marriage, was this from day one, or did this start to happen like years in that you had a shift?
Well, I think as I think about it, I always tell people I grew up wild. Right, I was an athlete. I was out here wilding, right?
Smiling.
Smiling and wilding, right? Smiling and wilding, right?
I can see it too. I can see it.
Smiling and wilding, right? And what I will say is, I think part of it for me is learning. I had to learn that every relationship isn't the same, right? Once again, I said earlier, you have to create what works for you. And when you're trying to operate in somebody else's dynamic or what the world said the way you should be operating, you're gonna lose focus, right? And I know I lost focus because I'm not a traditional thinker when it comes to relationship, right? I'm not saying I'm out here swinging none of that foolishness, but we forgot to create what works for us, right? And I went and took it upon myself to do what works for me when there was hard times,
without considering,
right?
Your wife,
my partner's thoughts and feelings. Right. And, I think about this idea of love. I don't know if you all read that book, All About Love by Bell Hooks.
No.
You heard about it? Well, Bell Hooks, one of the things because when you hear that definition of, well, let me ask you, you love your wife, right? Mm-hmm. What is your definition of love?
I'm not the right person to ask that question. You know what I mean? I guess I love my wife because I married her. We have she strengthens me, I strengthen her.
Mm-hmm.
I care really deeply for her.
Okay.
I don't even see any other women
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Like, you go to the club, you're like, ooh, you all right?
Yeah.
I literally don't even see it anymore.
Mm.
So it's not even something I need to turn off because I only have eyes for my wife.
Mm.
And I feel comfortable building a life with my wife.
Okay.
I'm trying to answer the question considering she's watching.
So, Smart man. Smart man.
No, but that's something I'm working on in terms of being able to articulate my feelings. So I didn't grow up with that.
As men, I feel you. I feel you. What's your definition of love?
I think love has layers.
Okay.
Number one, but if we're talking like romantic love with a partner, I think love and trust go hand in hand, like complete trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think love is more of you put love in words, right? I think it requires complete trust, but as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, there's a time where you don't trust them, but you still love them, right? That's really difficult. It's a feeling, it's a state. I think it's a state of being, almost when we're talking about intimate love. It's a state of being, wanting to feel connected, like seriously connected is one. I've never been married, but I've been in a relationship that you felt connected as one, right? Yeah. So I think just that wanting to be connected. And then I think also when you love someone or you're in love, when you can feel like their energy, you can feel their frequency and their vibe. I don't know how else to describe it.
But that's my point, right? We always talking about love, but what is the
it
unified definition of love?
Let's look that up.
Right?
Yeah.
But usually
then it's Webster's definition.
I want to see what the general definition is saying.
Well, it's gonna talk about just a deep affection, and it really relates love.
But what does that mean?
But that's the point.
An intense feeling of deep affection, a great interest and pleasure in something. A great interest and pleasure in something.
No, that can't be right, because it's not always a great interest and pleasure with my wife, but I love her.
But this is the thing, and this is what my point. My point was there's no unified definition. One, we're always talking about love, but the other piece was they often equate it to something romantic, right? That definition. But what shook me when I was reading this book, once again, that book is All About Love by Bell Hooks. She said, love is a verb. Right?
Yeah.
And so love is the ability to, with intention and purpose, right, go into a place where you're trying to grow your own self spiritually, or the other person spiritually. It's a verb. So you're actually trying to help them to do something and be something bigger than what they are.
That's good.
That's good.
But it's an action, it's a verb, right?
It is.
And so if you look at love from that point of view, and we deal with entrepreneurs, right? There's this word that was introduced called cathexis. And they in the book it said, most of us are not in love, we're in cathexis. Cathexis is giving your emotional and mental energy, usually unhealthy, to something, whether it's a person, an object, or an idea. Entrepreneurs do that all the time. And we don't see the connection between relationship and being an entrepreneur, but it's so closely related.
Oh, so closely related.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cathexis versus loving. You got to look that up.
Goodness gracious. All right. So when you went, and we'll move past this because I want to get into like the career part of it.
But hold on. You can ask me what I said. You can ask me whatever. So if you have another question, I'm super open.
I do.
Ask it.
Because as an entrepreneur, you get like a different type of love. I don't even want to use the word, but love from everybody else, from the crowd, from the audience. Yeah. Another sense of appreciation. And the people in the crowd feel like Joe can do no wrong.
Man.
And then you get home and Joe does everything wrong.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Why would you leave your shoes right there? Like you feel me? So when you decided to step out, was it conscious decision? Was it under an influence, or like what's going on in your head?
Well, I think naturally, as men,
or was it justified? Like, yeah, I mean, That's what we do.
Well, the question is, was it justified to who?
To you.
We can justify anything.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to say no. I'm conscious that my partner is probably going to be watching this as well.
Right.
Was it justified? No.
No, I'm talking about, so this is my I'm having a conversation with a friend, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna holler at, I'm gonna get a little side joint.
Yeah.
In his mind, he justified that he went through this whole thing. Marriage is an institution. It was created by the white man. And back in the day, we would have many wives. Look in the Bible. They had so many different wives. And this is the natural order of things. In his head, he justified his actions.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong. But I'm saying for you, did you justify, well, and I've heard it said this way, I cheat on my wife because I love her. Because if I can go get that out, I'll come back and I'll love more.
I'm feeling so much energy right here. I'm feeling so much energy. Well, I'm not a traditional thinker, right? I think I said that before. I believe that if you start doing some digging and looking up where did marriage come from, start doing some digging, monogamy, start doing some digging on all of the stuff that we've been programmed to believe, you'll start to be able to understand it in a deeper way. Like, I don't know if I would use the word cheating anymore, right? A lot of people will, though, to understand it, because I don't think it's necessarily about cheating, it's about deception.
Yeah.
You follow me? Right? And that was the case in my relationship, where women have this great sense of intuition, right? And she knew something, but she couldn't shake it.
Yeah.
And it was finally like, my boys, and I grew up like, yo, unless you get caught red-handed, you don't say nothing. But I knew at that time I had to cleanse, right? So there was justification in my mind to say, this isn't going on at home right now because we're beefing.
Right.
This isn't going on. We're not doing this. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go get it from somewhere, right? And so, yes, I justified it.
I think in order to cheat, though, you have to justify it, even if just temporarily in your head. You have to have a moment of, this is okay because, or even if it's, this is okay because I'll never see this person again. I'm out of town and we'll never run into each other. This person doesn't know who I am. I think at some point you have to justify it early on. And
I don't know, though, because some people say, yo, I know I'm not supposed to do this, and I know it's wrong,
Right.
but I'm just gonna do it.
So it's still justification. You can justify something and be wrong for it. You can say, I made a mistake, but here's why. Right? That's justification.
But I'm saying walking in knowing this is a mistake. Like this,
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I can't even justify that this is okay. I know it's not.
It's
but,
not okay.
I just feel like doing it.
Yeah, but okay, yes. And we have to understand that not everyone has this traditional view of relationships, right? Not everyone is like man, woman, or, if you're same sex, like nobody has, we have to understand there's so many different variables and different ways in which people live, right? And I didn't know that. I'm started finding stuff like, oh, what is polyamory? What is this? And what? I'm like, whoa, I never heard of this stuff, right? And so it's interesting because I think a lot of times when we have this dialogue of what happened, what's right or wrong, it's because we're operating from, this is how you're supposed to do relationships versus, no, people do relationships the way that they're supposed to, right? Now, once again, we were in a traditional space of a relationship, and I did what I did, so I was wrong.
You violated the terms.
Exactly. But I think also we have to understand we all have feelings. And when I say feelings, we have physical feelings, right? There's times where we're like women do it, men do it, like, damn, who is that? Right? We get a little.
I don't never do that.
Man. Come on. Man.
I don't never do
Now,
that.
you're a good guy, Dave, but okay.
Man, I'm just saying. Come on, Dave.
We all get that feeling. Ooh,
Right.
Who is that?
Exactly.
Hey,
y'all do
boy.
the little sounds like, what's that little Cardi B? So yeah, man, it's rough, but I think when you do that individual healing and you understand, what you're recovering from, you understand yourself more, and then you actually have the hard conversations that you usually don't have until a situation happens, then you develop a different type of relationship.
You said something about us all having feelings.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest lessons that I have had to learn in relationships, and I still struggle with this, is that the other person is not responsible for my feelings, right? And when I was told that in the beginning, I was incredibly offended by that. You're not responsible for my feelings, then what are you responsible for, right? And that's something that I'm still learning, like to be told by somebody that you care about, I'm not responsible for your feelings. I've never, ever heard that before. And so what that person is ultimately, and I've read, there's this guy, his last name starts with a Z, I can never pronounce it, who has a book called Spiritual Partnership.
Okay.
And in that book, it talks about how people are not responsible for your happiness and your feelings, right? If they're not responsible for your happiness, which we know we pretty much get that concept, then how can they be responsible for your feelings? And the only thing that you can be responsible for is your own action and your obligation to the relationship. So if in the relationship, I agree to not do certain things, right? Or to behave in a way, I'm responsible for that. Yeah. But how you internalize that, how you internalize it and process it and react to it is not the other person's responsibility. What do you think about that?
I like that, but I think I would also say I may not be responsible for your feelings.
Gotta consider them.
But if we're in a partnership, I contribute to how you feel.
I agree.
Right?
I agree with that.
Right? And so my contribution into whatever partnership I have, you have to be considerate of the other individual.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, yes, I may not be responsible, but I have to know my role and how I make you feel. And if I'm in a partnership with you and I'm making you feel like you're nobody, or I'm making you feel like you can't trust me, or I'm making you feel all these certain type of ways, that's not a good relationship. That's a toxic relationship to be in.
And so while that person may not be responsible for your feelings, that's not without consequence. Like, you may not be responsible for my feelings, but when there's the consequence, right?
For sure.
Seriously. Yeah. I think spiritual, so I am starting to evolve even in how I think about relationships. It has to go from the surface of, I'm attracted to you, I like you, can we do life together? To I've become in the last 2 years a whole lot more spiritual probably than I've ever been. And spiritual connection is real, right? I think without it, relationships are doomed. I think without spiritual connection, relationships are doomed. And I'm not talking for people who are like, oh, what do you mean? We got to pray all day and this, that, and Bible all day. It's not what it means. It means being tuned in on the same frequency. It means being able to see behind the layer of what the eyes can see and really process and have emotional intelligence enough to say, okay, because I vibe with you on this level, I am not going to react to what's on the surface, but I'm actually going to take the time to process and give you a connected response, right? Yeah. I'm not the therapist, though.
No, but that's good. I mean, you brought up so many words. I mean, it's so interesting that, the book described love in terms of, helping you grow spiritually, helping your partner grow spiritually, and you're talking about spirituality. But I think the other part is this idea, once again, that everyone operates the same way, right? Some people, they may just want an individual for a season, right? The problem, though, is they don't articulate that and verbalize that and have that dialogue. So when you go in and I'm expecting, we're building a lifelong partnership, and in reality, this is just a seasonal situation, right? Causes issues. And then it adds to that stress that so many people have, because when your relationship isn't intact, right? I would argue if your relationship isn't intact, a lot of times your own individual relationship isn't intact. Right? With yourself, right? That's the power of the word identity, because identity is associated with purpose, knowing who you are. You can align yourself with your purpose unless you know who you are.
What about if there's turmoil in a relationship and it's heavily one-sided? Let's say a spouse who loves their spouse, but that spouse is abusive. Does that have, I guess obviously there's isolated situations, but I don't know if that often is the case. If your relationship is not in order,
Is that
then
love,
it's an
though?
issue with yourself.
Say it again. Say it again.
If your relationship is not in order, let's say husband, wife, husband, however y'all do it, that has a lot to do with an issue with yourself. I don't know if I agree.
Okay,
with
so
that.
let me ask you this. So both of y'all, I'm gonna pick on women. I'm not a woman. I've never had the experience of a woman, so let me say that. So you're gonna have to guide us, right? So have you ever had one of your homegirls, right, break up with whoever, and then like, ooh, I found me a new boo, blah, 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 blah. You get to know the new boo, and it's the exact same individual who they just dated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you don't do that self-work, you're gonna attract the same type of
Dang, that's
individual.
good.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
All right,
Absolutely.
all right.
That's what I
Good
mean.
stuff.
Yeah, I've known a homegirl to do that for sure.
Have you done
A
that?
homegirl.
Well, thirsty. Dang, I'm thirsty.
Thirsty right now.
I'm parched over here.
Wow. So, yeah, I like, that's good, bro. You know what? It's so, and you just explained something I had in my head for a long time, man, because I've seen people, and specifically in abusive relationships, you're with somebody, they're abusive, then for some reason you found somebody else that was abusive. And like the person says, well, I've been in 3 abusive relationships. And you're like, dang, that's crazy.
Like,
are you
how?
asking them, yo, are you gonna abuse me? Good. Okay, let's do it.
It's
You know what I mean?
you can be connected to trauma, right? And the trauma is what bonds you. And you know that this is a dangerous situation, but you're looking for a connection. And some people, I think, in dealing with an abusive situation, being I hate to say that I was in an abusive situation because it makes it seem like I was in a relationship. I had a relationship that went bad first, and then that person began to stalk me and fight me after the fact. But being in that space, I accepted the responsibility a long time ago to deal with other women who were struggling, right? Because I was the opposite. I was the fighter. I was the, you got me, you know what up, right? And I'm fighting back and all of this stuff. And I would say, like, if you thought that we broke up and could possibly get back together, but then you could come and do this to me and you think I'm going to take you back, you have to be insane. So for a long time, I wondered, why would you stay? And that didn't feel good. That was dangerous. Like, this almost cost me my life. So I wondered with other women, why would you stay? But when I started working with a specific women's shelter here in Atlanta, and I came across so many other battered women, unfortunately, based on the experience, they may be connected to trauma because it's what they experienced with a parent. They may be connected to trauma because it's the only time they got attention, right? Some people would rather have bad attention than no attention. And so there's a mental disconnect that for a lot of people, they feel like any attention is love, good or bad.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to get into.
I'm sorry, because she's bringing up stuff.
Yes, go for it.
She's
Go
bringing
for
up
it.
stuff
Please.
that is so critical to discuss. And the first thing is this idea that so many people are addicted to chaos, right? They're used to chaos, right? Another example. You ever and I'm gonna get on my fellas in a minute, but have you ever had a homegirl to say things like, he just too good?
Yeah, I've never understood that.
I didn't either.
I've had I've not had anybody say I think he's too good. I have heard he's just too nice.
But it's the same,
I've heard
right?
that.
Right?
Look now. There have been a couple of too nicers.
Yeah.
There have been. But generally what you're speaking of is like, why wouldn't you want somebody nice? But we got to qualify what too nice means, because
very
sometimes too nice is borderline stalkerish, right? Like, I think too nice, I think, is acceptable when you don't want the attention or the affection or the something that somebody, the gesture that somebody is making towards you. But what's up with that too nice thing?
from my experience, and I am not a we're just talking, I'm talking from experience and just but I'm not a relationship expert. That's not what I do. But what I will say is, when you're used to chaos in your life, you're used to drama, you're used to certain things, and you're not receiving that. You're like, something ain't right. And it's not that is what you're supposed to get in your life. It's just that's what you've been used to.
And it starts with the family dynamic.
Big time.
Because you grow up, right? So it's just like that story of, I think we talked about it before, the story of the two brothers who grew up with the alcoholic father. One of them went on to be super successful businessman, straight and narrow family man, while the other one turned into a drunk, a womanizer, a woman abuser. And the brother who had it to get, together said, well, they both said, I grew up with an alcoholic, abusive father, so I wanted to do something different because I didn't like the way that feels. Whereas the other one who became the alcoholic says, I grew up with an alcoholic, abusive father, so I became him. And I think that translates into all of our relationships, right? How you grew up, what kind of conversations was happening in your kitchen, when you were a kid. And I think we learn that dynamic, and then we go out and subconsciously search for one or two people. You're either the person who's like, I will never live like that because that didn't feel good. Or are you that person who is, that's what I'm used to, that's what I saw, this is all I know, right?
I personally believe that we should all operate from the idea of we are all recovering from our childhoods.
For sure.
Because we are.
Sure.
Big facts.
Yeah.
I agree. So I know one of your expertise is in healing, like getting people to that place of healing. So specifically for the entrepreneur, because you can talk to that, right? And we have a large audience of entrepreneurs. How is our lack of healing affecting how we operate in business? And if you can give us, some of the tools that you teach that they can actually implement right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I know we were talking, earlier, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand that if you don't deal with whatever bad experiences or trauma that you've had, it's going to bleed into the work that you do, right? And so, a great example of that is the way in which we handle conflict, right? You said you used to be I'm a fighter, but you know what I'm saying? If you never learned.
Correction, I was a
First of all, I don't talk like that.
First of all, that's not how I talk, but I fought back in a situation where somebody tried to hurt me. I'm not just a fighter.
I got you. Thank you. And that's good for you to clarify. But I'm thinking about the individuals who, they always feel like they're getting attacked. And the way that they respond is, I'm going off, or I'm gonna fight you back, right? Imagine as an entrepreneur, you have somebody that wants a refund, right? And you feel like you gave them all that you got, and you're like, they don't need them. If you go and this MF and blah, 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 come on now, it's gonna mess up your business, right? So you have to understand the way in which you've moved throughout your life. And if you don't heal and learn how to do things differently, your business will be impacted. It will be impacted. Another one is relationships, right? And I'm not just talking romantic relationships. How are you in relationships with other people, right? How do you, are you, when you come around, when people see you walk in the room, are they saying, oh man, I got to get out of here. I don't even want to be by, right? Is the energy that you bring a type of energy where people are like, I do not want to be around them, right? Are you likable, right? And some people think that a lot of folks like them. People may like what you do, but they may not like you. Big facts. Right? And that is critical, right? And so as entrepreneurs, when you don't heal and be open to let somebody say, yo, you need to work on this here. And receive that. If you don't heal, it will negatively impact your business and the bag that you're trying to get to.
Absolutely. What are some signs that you think right away a person can kind of self-audit and understand that they're not healed?
Well, one, I think if you consistently have the same issue over and over again in the same area,
something's broken.
You need to look into that, right? If people consistently tell you the same thing, but you think it's only them, you need to look into that, right? There's this assessment that we should do in our lives. We should assess the people in our lives. I believe we should always assess what we believe, because you always want to upgrade your knowledge and information. You want to assess, the money, right? Your finances, right? Because all of that can impact your finances. So there's so many areas that you always want to continue to assess. And, I created this thing called the R4 process, right? It's all about reflect, release, reprogram, restart.
So
That's
give it
the
to me
R4.
again. Give it to me
R4
again.
process.
Okay.
It's about reflecting,
Yep.
releasing,
Release.
reprogramming,
Reprogram.
restart.
Restart.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what I walk people through.
Yeah, walk me through it right now.
Okay, I'll walk you through it. So that's what I do. When I spark folks healing, I walk them through that process. So reflecting is all about looking at where you are in life, looking at some of the things that you've done, some of the things that people have done to you, right? I think the world moves so fast. When you're in business, there's so much going on. You don't have time to just slow down, really take an assessment of what's going on. Where am I in my life? Right? That's that reflection, right? Release is really, I always say, we have to respect where we are, but honor where we are going, right? Release is about doing that because it's about recognizing, okay, what have I been through? What are my my traumas that I've been through? Who did it, right? And it's about releasing yourself from either those individuals, releasing yourself from those thoughts, releasing yourself from those bad things that happened to you. That's the release part, right? And then reprogramming. Reprogramming is all about, like I said, upgrading the knowledge and information that you have, right? Prime example, I think a lot of us, and I might hurt some feelings right now, but a lot of us, we have an iPhone 12, right? I do Android, I don't do iPhone, right? But we have an iPhone 12, but how are you gonna operate that using an iPhone 1 operating system, right? You have to continue to grow and upgrade the knowledge and how you move and how you operate in your beliefs, right? And restart is, once you pick something, because some of us we do the double dutch. We like, all right, I'm a dip and dab. And I think TDJ said it best. He said, you can't be who you used to be and who you're gonna be at the same time. Right? You can't do it.
Can't do it.
You can't do it. So restarting
That's
is
simple yet so deep.
Yeah.
You can't be who you want to be, or
Who you used to be,
who you used to be,
and who you want to be.
and who you want to be at
Yeah.
the same. You can't be who you used to be and who you want to be at the same time. I'm putting that somewhere in my house. That's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think I'm gonna
deep.
put that on Instagram.
That's
Right
TDJ.
after
That's
this episode.
So what are the steps to healing? I'm sorry, did we go through the 4?
Yeah, that was the R.
completely?
Yeah,
Okay.
reflect,
Gotcha.
release,
Okay.
reprogram, restart.
All right, so give me like the next steps to healing, right?
Yeah.
And how to find it, because like some people know, okay, I'm reflecting, okay, I'm broken, and then give me a second, reflect,
Release.
release. How do we release?
So you're gonna make me just give you all the goods, huh? No,
We
I'm
need
messing
the
with you.
whole
I'm messing
game,
with
brother.
you. So there's so many different ways to release, and everybody has their way, right? I think one of the most powerful ways to release is, one, you have to know who you're speaking to, right? And if someone did something, if I were to walk you through this process and you said to me, this individual when I was 13 years old, because you have to understand with trauma, there are a lot of people who are stuck at the age where that traumatic experience happened. I just read the book that Donald Trump's niece wrote about him.
Yeah.
He's probably still a little 8-year-old, 9-year-old little boy. That's why he operates the way that he does, right? And so when you identify the individual, and hey, I'm telling you,
Dang,
it's a
that
deep,
joint
it's
got real.
it's a deep book. I was like, man, now I can understand that. I ain't gonna say no words, but I can understand, right? But when you figure out what happened to you, who did it, who was involved, and you're able to rather write a letter, make a phone call, but that word forgiveness is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because just because you forgive, that's not mean that you're just gonna be like, okay, you're my best friend now, but even though you did this. But forgiveness is about allowing yourself to take another step forward to your ability to align with your purpose, right? And so when I walk folks through a process, some people write, and they write the letter. When I tell you there's tears just falling, the individual's not even in the room, but they're just writing to what happened. That individual may be dead, but they're writing to release all of that hurt and that pain, because it's impacted them, for some folks, their whole lives, and it happens to them when they're 10, so that's one way to do it.
Do you think, I think about drug addicts, alcoholics, right? And one of the things I believe, at least that's what I see in movies all the time, is that one of the steps or something is to make sure you don't put yourself back in the environment of alcohol. If you're an alcoholic, don't go to the bar, right? So we've all seen the movie with the alcoholic who has been on a straight and narrow path for years, and then something happens in life and they go into the bar and they go backwards, right?
Yeah.
Do you think healing is permanent, or do you think it is subjective to what triggers you?
That's a good question. I would say healing is ongoing. I don't think you're ever, I'm healed.
Right.
I think it's a constant work in progress. I think, one
But
of the
we hear that. We do. Man, it wasn't until I got this therapist that I feel like I healed from that. I got it out. I released, right?
Yeah, that's and I would never say to anybody like, no, you're wrong, because this morning I had to reschedule my therapy appointment because I was here, right? At one point I was seeing a therapist twice a week when I was going through my stuff early on. But let me put it like this. I once heard somebody say, you are a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time.
Yep.
Right?
I heard that.
Which means like, you're not gonna just be healed, right? It's not like you broke a bone and now it's back. It's regular, right? It's always gonna be something. You always have to be working, whether it's your spiritual growth. Let me, and with that question, which I think is so important, so many people try to get all of their healing from one place. Like some people think you could just get it from church.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. My grandfather had a church. My uncle had a church. Both of them ascended. They passed away. And I went into my grandfather used to always want me to say some words in his church. And I don't go to church anymore, but I'm closer to God than I've ever been because of the work that I've been doing. And I went in there and I said, I'm sick and tired of y'all telling me you've been praying about it, but you still in the same situation. I'm tired of it. Like some of y'all ain't putting the work in, right? You have all this faith, but you ain't putting the work in, right? And you don't
Which
have
means you don't have any faith at all.
Exactly. Or the discernment to hear when the voice was telling you need to do something different or you need to go, right? And so this healing is an ongoing process.
Yeah. And I think it's important to point that out because we have these, Instagram right now is the rule book of life. And if it's not suggested on Instagram, then we're doing it wrong. But we see I see a lot of memes that come across my timeline that say things like, you need to heal before, or heal from that childhood trauma. And it always just like, do we ever really heal? Are we helped or are we healed? Right. And I don't know that you ever really heal. For example, I talked about, my situation with an ex, and this was 20 years ago in college, where we broke up and then he, after the fact, couldn't handle it and became abusive. And I'm good with it, right? I can talk about it. It's not an emotional thing. Yeah. Honestly, most years I can go without even thinking about it one time. But then I can meet someone or see something that triggers like a flashback of what happened in those moments where he held me hostage in a vehicle, right? In that moment, you feel it. And it's like, am I healed or have I buried this, right? Have I buried it? Was I helped? Because I can't openly see that it affects me in any area of my life. I don't have trust issues with men. I'm not afraid that somebody's going to put their hands on me. It was really just, dealing with him was like fighting women because, it was just like fighting, right? And it happened several times before it stopped. So I don't know, are we being helped? And then healing will be something that we do for that specific thing until the day that we die? Or should we start saying, instead of saying heal, should we say start healing? Right?
Which is so, I love that. I love that, man. Woo. Great question, because on my site, it says start your healing.
Yeah.
Right? It says start your healing. And I think what people mean when we talk about healing or getting healed from that specific experience is they're really saying you need to acknowledge it at least.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Acknowledge it and do whatever work you need versus go get healed. I'm okay.
I think people who bottle things up.
I was that guy.
Who bottle things up, when someone is able to get you to talk about it, like there's, especially with men, like you have these inner traumas that as you get older and as you develop, you start to realize like, okay, I might have some type of trauma like that you didn't realize before. Like, oh, that might be my situation.
Yeah.
So many people confuse being able to speak about it with being healed, being able to speak about something that they've suppressed, or being able to identify what it is where it may have come from with being healed, when I think that's really the acknowledgement in the first step. Like you have to first acknowledge that this is happening, and that's a huge step in the right direction, but it's not healed, and it's so important to keep doing the work.
That's right. That's right.
And I know you travel the country and with your message. I'd like to kind of get into some of the nuts and bolts and how you took such an important message, because there's a lot of people out here who have a similar message. They've been through some things and they're in the healing process, and they're coaching their friends. How do we turn that into a career? Because you're always speaking somewhere. Like, it's really, really cool.
Well, I think like I shared with you earlier, after, I was playing ball in college and had some opportunities to work out in front of some NFL teams. And when that didn't work, I've worked in K through 12. I've worked in corporate America. I've worked in higher ed. And in all of those experiences, my soul was saying, this ain't it. This ain't it, right? Like, this is cool, but this ain't it.
And what were you doing in that space? You said school counselor?
School counselor, assistant director in higher ed, sales at Enterprise, right? Like I was.
I can see you at Enterprise doing some sales.
I was always top two. I was always the top two. But
I can see you as a school counselor too.
Man, my students love me. My students love me,
I don't know if I
man.
can see you. I don't see you in the suit in the school counselor role.
He's
Like,
he's the cool counselor.
He's the cool. Everybody wants to. Can you write me a pass?
Hey, I used to be like, leave that door open.
Yeah.
Don't be shutting that
The
door.
little 11th graders.
Yeah,
Hey, Mr. Johnson.
Hey.
I'm telling you,
You were
man.
trouble in the hallways at school. Y'all saw Mr. Johnson today?
They wasn't messing my career up. You stay over there, leave that door open. I ain't playing that
Leave the
game.
door
Leave
open.
that door open. I ain't playing
No
that
closed
game.
doors in here. No closed doors.
So, man, that's so real though. But yeah, so it was. Say the question again. You got me cracking up and
So
laughing.
you're packaging this
Packaging,
information.
It's
okay,
a
yeah.
business.
Packaging. So once again, played sports, worked out for NFL teams, and when that didn't work, my soul was like, this isn't it.
Yeah.
And so many people, they don't listen to what their soul was telling them, right? They will stay in a position or in a job, or for entrepreneurs, they will keep doing the same thing when their soul was saying, you got to pivot, right? And so what I did was I said, I knew I wanted to speak, and it's going to set me up for trainings, right? Which can then set me up for creating some online courses, write a couple books, couple curriculums, and I'll start from there. And I'm still in the process of learning that and learning how to do it better. But that's what I've been doing, right?
I have a question for you. So we are in the season, especially of a lot of emerging coaches and consultants. I develop coaches and consultants. So maybe it's me and that's what I attract so much of, but it's like everybody's coaching and consulting, whether qualified or unqualified, right?
That's real.
How do you feel being an actual doctor, right? Having gone through the certifications and the trainings, how do you feel about coaches who are coaching just based on experience, right? So some type of personal development or empowerment that's just based on experience. I get the question, and I'm gonna let you answer. I get the question a lot with where people who I teach my clients that you are ideally your own ideal client, right? And if you're connected to wanting to, like I have a gentleman who helps men. He coaches them through poor relationships with healing through poor relationships with their father. And as a result, ending up being a womanizer because that's what they saw. So he deals with women he deals with men who are dealing with some type of fatherhood connected childhood trauma and womanizing men. But he's dealing based on his experience and how he overcame the trauma associated as a child of that. And he's now dealing with men who were children of products of that. How do you feel about people it's a slippery scope between therapist and coach.
Yeah, big time. But I love coaches, right? And I love coaches because I've had a coach, and I didn't know the power of a coach until I got a coach, right? And I remember, I think so many of us we feel like we're brainwashed to think that traditional school is the only way that somebody can be. And I know a lot of dumb, my bad.
I understand.
I know a lot of dumb doctors and dumb PhD. I'm gonna keep it right. But I know a lot of folks who have degrees that are clowns. Right? And I always say, I remember I was in class one day and I said, man, I go back to my old neighborhood and get some of the cats off the block. And they were like, what? They didn't understand. Like, they're smart. They're just doing it in a different way.
Yes.
Right? They didn't get what I was saying. And so for me, experience is powerful, right? I would rather learn from somebody that's been doing it versus somebody that's been teaching it and maybe didn't do it as much as the person with experience.
What would you say is the biggest difference? Because we have a lot of coaches in our network, and more people want to be some type of a development coach, right? What would you say is the difference between therapists and coaches?
Well, I think number one, there's so many different styles in therapy, right? Cognitive behavior therapy. There's so many different styles, and I'm not a therapist, right? My partner is a full, shout out to Dr. Brandy Pritchard Johnson. She's fine too, but she's a fully licensed psychologist, right? And
dang, I know them arguments get deep.
Oh man, we be watching movies. It take 4 hours because we stopping it. Okay, what you think about? You know what I mean?
Thinkers, boy. Goodness gracious.
But people have to know the difference. Like, some people try to get their therapy from their coach.
Okay.
Right? And that can't happen. There may be a therapeutic-ish element to the coaching, but it's not therapy. Right? That's not what they're trained to do.
Okay.
They're trained to do something specific. For example, my coach specifically taught me about a mindset on money. That was her thing, right? And she's very dope at it. And if we don't keep our coach in their lane and try to pull other stuff that they're not supposed to get, you're gonna lose out on the meaning on why you even got the coach, right? So if you need a therapist, then sometimes a good coach to me would say, that's not what I do. You need to see a therapist.
Oh, bro.
We talked about that in my first interview. Remember the difference between the two? I like to work with clients who also have therapists. I'm a business coach, but like you were talking about, healing and trauma and things that we've experienced in our personal lives spills over into business.
Absolutely.
So even I started off being a personal development coach, and I wanted to escape that, right? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm an empath, so these things are just building up and they're brewing inside of me, right? And so it was difficult. And I'm like, well, I know business, so I'm going to transition over into business coaching. You got to personally develop, some people in business coaching as well. You got to help people not panic, and, you got to help people stay the course and hold them accountable, and all these other, you can't pretend that you're not having a bad day just because it's a coaching session for business. It's a really slippery slope. So I encourage many of my clients to also have a therapist.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's important.
So with having a degree, what do they teach you in there? You know what I mean? Like, to be able to, because I went to college
Where do
for
you
a
even
little
start
bit.
with that?
Yeah, like, you feel me? So I'm thinking, so what do they teach you? What gives you that kind of a deeper understanding from a scholastic situation? Did I use that word, scholastic, right?
Yes.
It was cool. Yeah,
You
it was
reached,
cool.
but
It worked, right?
It worked. It fit well.
Cool. I'm being able to play Scrabble lately, so I'm working on my.
So I say this all the time to people. I tell them, because I don't necessarily lead with like, I'm Dr. Joe, right? And I tell them, a PhD is nothing but a tool, right? It's a tool to create opportunities for you. And I was sharing with you earlier, like, there's specific things that you need. So you can't be a fully licensed psychologist or mental health therapist unless you go through traditional schooling, take a certain test, and bam, you could be a therapist. You could be a licensed psychologist, right? But one of the things that I will say that they teach you is this idea, like me, I had to learn how to research, like traditionally research. Now, I would argue that we've been researching since we were kids, right? When you say,
I'm trash at research, bro.
but no, I don't think so. Because I always, in my head, you are king of common sense. Every time I watch you, I'm like, dang, why didn't I think of it like that?
That is a good point. Me
I'm like,
too.
goodness, man, I should have thought of that. But I don't think you are. And the reason I say that, because we've been doing it for so long. Prime example, when we were younger, elementary, middle, we see somebody that's cute, or high school, right? Ooh, they cute. What do we start doing? Asking questions. Asking questions. That's research. That's research.
Who that?
Who is that? Yo, who is that?
Exactly. Then nowadays, go to the gram or go to
the
social
gram,
media,
scroll
right?
through. You even said when you met Dre, what would you do?
went straight
You
through
went
all the
straight
pictures.
to
But
the gram.
that's research. That's research.
Definitely market research.
Yeah, that's research.
Definitely.
So the connection between like traditional schooling, right? Traditional school research. Now there's a deeper method to it, but it's similar.
Right.
It's very similar. So they teach a deeper level of academic style research, but there's also certain things that if you want to do in life, you have to go traditional school. But I'm telling you, there's power in learning from actually doing.
Yeah, you know what's so crazy? So this was good. So last night, I made this decision. I said, you know what? I'm gonna put on this workshop for podcasters. And I said, there's some things that I don't know, right? I know what platform that I use, and I know what mics I use, but I don't know the other ones. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna research all the different platforms. So I go on this, I'm looking it up and I'm like, they look the same. And you know what? Let me switch to research to find somebody who knows this stuff. You feel me? Like who knows the different mics and they research the tech. Let me just find somebody that's like that and they can speak at the event because that's not my type of research. But I can research and find the people. So thank you. That made me feel better about myself because I was like, dang, I hate research. Golly. That was good. Okay, so in your career, how has the PhD helped you in your career?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Do they just see PhD? You're like, oh, you're hired.
No, it don't work like that because one.
ET said that worked for him though. He's like, he didn't need the PhD, but once you put that on there, it adds another 30,000 to his fee.
Let me say this. It adds another level of credibility, and I've had to pull that card. Like I'll ask, hey, how you doing? Is such and such there? No, who is, this is Dr. Joe. Oh, like, come on now, really?
I'm gonna start saying it. Hey, it's such this is Dr. David Chance.
Dr. Donnie Wiggins.
Hey, do it. And it switches. It's so crazy how people receive
He's like,
that.
do it.
I'm telling you, do it.
Go ahead and falsify all your credentials.
When they get the email from me and everything spelled wrong, they be like, I don't know.
Doctor of
Just
what
test it.
exactly?
Test it. You gonna be
I
like,
am the
wow.
doctor of entrepreneurship.
Right.
That's me.
That means it's my Instagram name. It's just like
Dr. David.
I like that. Okay, all right. So yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, that's good though. Like, so it's a level of credibility. There's certain doors that I've been able to get into because I have this PhD, right? And let's be real blunt and frank. Like, there's a lot of these higher level spaces. Often, traditionally higher level spaces, you have a lot of old white men. Right. And so I remember losing out on the opportunity because one of them had my card back in the day and I had on earrings. Right. They didn't like that. I didn't have a PhD at the time either. Right. And I lost out on some money. And I was like, oh, I got to make sure I know the game. So when I know the group that I'm going into, there's certain ways I'm going to be me, but I know I got to dress a certain type of way, do a certain way. But that PhD will also be like, oh, you know, it lightens the mood. Oh, he's not a scary black man. Right. But if you see me just walking, I got tattoos, you know, I may cock my hat, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love it when people look at me, like I'm in an elevator, and they're kind of nervous. I just want to go, boo, just to scare the hell out. Just to scare them. Little do they know that, you know, I'm probably, you know, got a little more
I'm a
knowledge in
doctor,
there.
baby.
You know
I'm
what I'm saying?
Yo, that's funny.
So, yeah.
So
Yo, can I ask this question? I'm so sorry. Would you consider that being fake or phony, where you have to you
Code
put on a
switch.
certain? It was really cool because my man 19 Keys, he posted up a picture. He said, man, I don't like the fact, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, that that we put on a show to impress white people, right? I'm not saying you do that, but
No, right.
like what's your perspective on that?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Once again, this word programming, when it comes to when you understand, when you're fully aligned in your purpose, you understand how you've been programmed and how you have to reprogram yourself, right? And so we've been taught that a lot of times when you were younger, you can do anything you want to do. Y'all heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
You could do it. Whenever I go places, I say they lied to you. You can't do anything you want to do. You can do anything you want to do if you understand the game that you want to play in, right? So I understand specific games that I want to play in. So if I want to go in the corporate space, guess what? I still might have my suit and I wear my fitted and my sneakers. Though.
Yeah.
I'm still me, but I know that I have to play a certain game, at least to get in the door. And then when they love me, I can do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
Right? And some people, they like, I'm just going to be me. I'm going to wear my hoodie. No. Just know the game you're playing in. You have to get in the door first to have any type of impact. If you can't even get in the door, you can't do anything, right? So it's about knowing the game that you're playing.
That's good.
So you, on a regular basis, suit and tie or t-shirt and jeans?
You'll probably see me like this, but if I got a big speaking event, I'll throw my suit on, have my fit. It just depends. It's all about vibe and energy for me, right? Because I love it when they're looking at me like I went to, real quick story. I went to this sorority house some years ago, right? I went in there, had my fitted, my jeans, my sneakers, and the house mom, like these big sorority houses, and this was a Penhelic, like the white sororities. Mm-hmm. I go in and she's looking like, who is this guy?
Oh, what's a Penhelic?
Penhelic is like the white, like the Divine Nine is like, Sigmas, Kappas, all of them, right? But the Penhelic is like, I don't even know the names of some of those sororities.
You know what's crazy? I thought that those fraternities and sororities were like just a college thing, but the ones we know, that's black.
Yeah, that's black.
I had no idea until about last week. And I went to Alabama A&M and I'm thinking, oh, well, here's the thing. I'm thinking, of course all the Kappas are black because it's a HBC. All right, chill out, Donnie, okay? I didn't know until—
Dr. Johnson,
hey,
you ready to? Because anything said after this is going to be
but here's the thing. Here's in my justification.
No, there's no justification for that.
Yo, there are white Kappas,
very few.
Right,
I mean, there are.
From my perspective, I'm thinking it's a college thing, and it just in my world.
There are white students who attend HBCUs, but it's still an HBCU.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know it was. I just thought all the people that I knew was just. So I went in a Clubhouse. You're in Clubhouse, right?
I am. I'm still trying to learn it.
Okay. I went in the Clubhouse and I asked this question. Because in my head, every room I go into, it's a sea of black people. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, is Clubhouse like an all black app, like where like everybody here is black like that? Because there wasn't a whole lot of people on there. Right. And the guy was like, he said, nah, it's just your algorithm at work. Mm-hmm. Meaning it groups your particular interest, and my interests typically have to do with these people. Yeah. The people that I'm following is the same thing, right? Yeah. So I'm getting to understand that my limited view is based on my view, right? I never went into corporate. I never had to experience a white person getting a job that I was going for that was more qualified. Yeah. So as I'm growing up, and I hear the stories, I'm going into motivational speaker world like, yo, you can have whatever you want. We got a black president. Ain't no, like, yo, ain't nothing that nobody can take from you. If you want it, you go get it. Right. But that's my view. Yeah. That's my experience. And then I realized my wife, when I met her, she had a job and she got passed up. And I'm like, oh, it really does happen.
Real in these streets.
I didn't know. So my point is, I just thought.
And you're right. We only know based on our experiences. Mm-hmm. Though you went to Alabama A&M, you should absolutely have known that these are, okay.
That's like me thinking all colleges are black because
why would you go to college,
all black people. Because I didn't research fraternities. I just knew everybody. Never mind, man. Forget it.
And it's cool that you say that, but we all algorithms.
This is a safe place. I feel judged.
You are definitely being judged right now.
I'm not judging you.
I was about to say.
Oh, they gonna cancel me. Podcast is over.
This is it. Anything we say beyond this, it doesn't matter. They're gonna stop right here. No, but. People need to pay more attention to the word algorithm. Yeah. We hear algorithm and we think exposure on Instagram and Facebook and how we get ads presented to us, when since birth, we are all walking around with a built-in algorithm.
Explain.
So algorithms on social media are set based on your behavior, right? Based on what you click on, based on what you swipe on, based on what you spend more time on, based on your search history. We have an internal algorithm that allows us certain experiences, that allows us to be in certain rooms, that allows us to do certain things based on our behavior, based on what we pay attention to, based on who we have around us in our network. So we're gonna see and be drawn to things based on our own internal programming, AKA algorithm. It just is. It's just a formula that categorizes certain criteria to produce a result. And so all of our experiences, all of our choices, all of our behaviors, all of our engagement, relationships, all of those encounters are part of our formula that produces our result.
Got you. Last question. What's more silly? Someone thinking that...
Lord. You better cut it out. You better not try to throw me under the bus.
Shout out to our first episode.
You cannot, no, you will not bring this up. You will not throw me under the bus just because you've been thrown under the bus in this episode.
He's trying to get you back.
We will tell you off camera the dumb crap that I said, and it was dumb as hell, okay? However,
okay.
based
All right.
on my internal programming, based on the algorithm that I walk around with, right? It was a dumb.
Oh, man.
It was
Okay.
I had a, no offense, I had a blonde moment. I had an incredibly blonde moment, but we're not going to shift the energy right now.
Oh, now we're not going to shift. Now we're not going to shift the energy. Okay, all right. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, all right. So, yeah, look, we went through a whole lot today. So, I wanted to ask you this: traveling, speaking across the country. How do you do it? How do you get these gigs, brother?
I believe everything is about relationship, right? Everything and authentic relationships. I think one of the lies that we've been told is that it's not about what you know, but
who you know.
Yeah, that's a lie, right? Because in reality is, if I linked you up with anybody and you couldn't do what I said you can do, you're gonna mess up my relationship with that individual. So you have to know the what, right? You have to know the what and how to do whatever. It's also who you know. But the piece that they're always missing is how you build authentic and nurture relationships with the individuals that you know, right?
I'm terrible at that, bro.
But that's what.
No, you're not.
I don't think you are.
In terms of, okay, let me not say I'm terrible at it. In terms of a business relationship, nurturing a business relationship, my follow-up is terrible.
See, okay, so that's real. That's real because follow-up is one of the areas where I think we fall. A lot of us fall short. A lot of entrepreneurs fall short. But relationship is key. When I met you, one thing that I will say, you've been the same since I met you. I was like, and I'm not like let me say it like this. So many of us support people because we want them to support us.
Yeah.
That's not authentic support.
Yeah.
If the way you move and the way that you operate, if in your algorithm is I support people because I love what they do, you're not thinking about, well, they better do this for me, or I hope they do this for me.
Yeah.
That makes zero sense to me. So I've watched you. I'm gonna begin to watch you and see what you're doing, but I've watched you and I'm like, dang, this dude common sense. Like, man, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, yo, what up, Dave? How you doing? I've asked you a couple of times, hey, can I come here and shoot something? You're like, cool, boom. It wasn't, but I wasn't trying to take. I'm also like, what can I do for you as well, right? And so many of us, when I say build relationships, just be cool. Just be like, yo, what up? Like, hey, man, what's good? What's good? I love what you're doing. Like, you ain't got to be fake or phony. And some of us it's so hard for us to just acknowledge people and say, man, I love what you're doing, or that's dope. I appreciate you, or just pop up. Oh, I have this event. Okay, I'm gonna come through, right? And I think we have to be mindful. Relationships will get you so much further in your life. And once again, it's part of being aligned in your purpose, because your purpose will take you places your parents can't take you, places your pastor can't take you, take you places and get you in rooms that you've never been in. And there's levels to your purpose. There's not one purpose.
So one is you're walking in your purpose. This is what you
fully.
And just based on this conversation, I do believe that that is your purpose.
Absolutely.
I really, really believe that you understand your space.
Yeah.
Number 2 is you build solid relationships.
Absolutely.
Right. And number 3, you come on and you perform.
Yeah.
So that is a perfect scenario for building a thriving teaching, speaking, and coaching career.
Thank you for saying that. Because when we were talking about the sorority house I went in, because I didn't finish that.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, you said it. The lady looked at me up and down when I went in and killed it. After that, she was, give me a hug. And she became my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I would go visit her at work, give her a hug. But when you kill it, when you bring the value,
you got to execute.
Yeah.
they love it. So I'm glad you said that.
I'm
glad you said that.
You know what? One word continues to come up every single episode.
What's that?
Relationships.
Relationships.
And it's important for the audience to hear that. Especially when we're dealing in a space where people, I just don't like people, but I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't really fool with people that much, but I want to impact the world. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Relationships are vital.
Yeah, I get I'm getting more so now where people's like, yo, man, how much is it to be on your podcast? I'm like, I'm like these are people that I know, or like these are like there's a relationship.
See Donnie, because
I
let David. If
I wouldn't charge somebody to be on a podcast. You earn it. You earn it.
You definitely earn it.
You feel me? Like you build something, and if you can come on here and teach us how you built it,
yes.
I feel like I owe you money. Yeah. You feel me? Like, yo, we've had millionaires, multi-millionaires, like huge people that are killing it in their space, and they come here and teach us what they did
for free.
Why would I?
It's an opportunity.
If you have to pay me to be on this podcast, it's probably not going to be as impactful because you can't really teach me anything. Not you can't teach me anything, but you haven't built something big enough that is valuable where I say, yo, I need you.
Yep.
So if you have to pay me, you don't deserve to be here anyway.
Well, give me that 100 back that I got.
No, I do take. We do take like courtesy lunches.
We
though.
absolutely will take courtesy lunches.
If you come on,
I'm with that. I'm with that.
Finesse the lunch at Dr. Joe.
Let's go. We gotta be done. We got a meeting soon.
But you know,
finesse the lunch at Dr. Joe.
Just finesse the lunch.
I'm with
Let's
it.
go.
I'm with it. Listen, man, because I know we were talking about healing. I know we're closing out. I just want to make sure that people understand the power of healing. And we didn't talk about it, but I'm just going to share it. Like my family and I went on Iyanla Fix My Life. Right. My sister Shay Johnson been on reality show, all kind of my brother MJ, he's also loving hip hop, and my mom and my partner. And one of the things that I took.
Is there a reason you call her partner versus wife or spouse? Or?
Yeah, because I think when I looked up a lot of just the traditional and where marriage and stuff came from, and it's also out of respect to like same-sex marriages, right? I mean, do you, right? But I just say partner.
Okay, I noticed it. I didn't know if there was.
And diversities, and when and part of my purpose when I'm talking about purpose, I also do things on diversity, and you got to be mindful of the language you use when you're in the rooms, right? Because people are like, "Well, you kept saying wife, and you didn't consider." So
I learned that in college, didn't you? You learned that in college, yeah. I know it. I know it. So,
but yeah, I was just gonna say the one thing that I learned from that show is the power of when you say you're going to go into somebody else's process, they come to you or they come to you, commit to the process. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. So if somebody comes to you for the work that you do or they come to you for the work that you do, commit to the process and honor the people that you went to because you're there for a reason. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Commit to the process.
Wow. I think that was a good stopping point right there with that. That was strong.
Good episode.
That was a good episode. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Joe, we're about to do a commercial real quick. Okay. So just get something deep together because you got to close this out. Strong. Okay. All right. Get some deep words. So this is what I need you guys to do. First off, I need you to like this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, I need you to like it. If you're hearing me, please give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to just lead you in a way, but please give us a review. It would really, really tremendously help us. in our algorithm, okay? Because we want to be the number one podcast for entrepreneurs. So please, if you're listening, just like this, okay? This episode, as always, is sponsored by The Morning Meetup, themorningmeetup.com. It is the only organization that gathers every single day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with over 300 entrepreneurs that want to learn entrepreneurship. They want to grow their business. They want to connect with other entrepreneurs. There's nowhere else you can go and connect with 300 other people around the country live. You can see them, you can talk to them, you can comment with them, okay, outside of a social media platform. But this is a closed group, okay? So if you are an entrepreneur, you're thinking about entrepreneurship, go to themorningmeetup.com and try us out. I'm gonna do something very special for you. I'm gonna allow you to join for $1. $1 for the entire week, okay? Just test us out. Just give us a little taste test, okay? If you like us, stick around. It's only, well, I don't want to say the number because it's probably going up next year, but it's less than like $2 a day, or $2.50 a day, something like that. But it's still a nominal fee, okay? But you can try for just $1. See if you like us. If you like us, you could stay. If not, there's no contract. You could leave, no risk. You can just come and go as you please, okay? So go to themorningmeetup.com. You as an entrepreneur or wanting to be an entrepreneur, you need this, all right? Ms. Donnie Wiggins.
Hey, you guys. This episode is also brought to you by Six Figure EDU, a community in which we create, train, and develop coaches and consultants. So if you are in the information space, you have some knowledge that you want to pack up, you want to sell it and make a career out of it, sixfigureedu.com. Again, that's sixfigureedu.com. And we got it one more time, sixfigureedu.com. And one other thing, if you are an entrepreneur who's out there, specifically in any service-based industry, and you're struggling with your consistency on social media, you need to be involved in Post to Paid. It is the only community in which you will receive directly to your phone 3 text messages from me prompting you on what to post on your social media page. And these aren't just posts, these are actually stories that sell. You want to know how I've been able to make multiple 6 figures and help so many other people make 6 and 7 figures? Stories that sell. You can text me the words Post to Paid at 404-737-2767.
You know that number.
I know my phone number.
She struggled that first time, though.
I cut it off the first time. I know it now because I actually text so many people.
But I know when you first launched the community. I can see the worry in her face. I don't get this number.
I don't know this number.
You know that thing
I know
now,
my phone number. Y'all text me though. Text me. And if you're not sure, also you can use that number to text me. No, hey, how you doing? And good mornings. But if you actually need clarity in your business, shoot me a text. We'll see. Either me or David can help you in the entrepreneurial space. Dr. Johnson, definitely in the healing space. Mm-hmm. What you got for us?
Yeah.
Doc.
Thank you. Thanks, Doc.
What am I commercialing?
I feel like I've started to heal.
No,
you know
so
what I mean?
we definitely want just a strong word. What's that final word that?
Oh, but first, let's know how to find you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's know how to find you and how you can, connect with you.
Yeah. So if you want to connect with me, I'm always on Instagram at Joe Johnson Speaks, JoeJohnsonspeaks, Joe Johnson Speaks. But also, I want you to come along with me because I'm still in my healing journey. It's not over. Like we talked about today, it's a continuous process. And I want you to see that I'm working and I want to work with you. I want to make sure that you're growing. I want to help make sure that you're healing. And so come with me at healnow2021.com. If you want to spark your healing, start your healing, get to a place where you get to that next level. You align yourself with your purpose because you cannot get to your purpose unless you heal. And so I'll say this because I say it often every time.
Before you get there, it's another question.
Go ahead.
Spark.
Go ahead.
With your partner, right? Mm-hmm. When the situation happened.
Yeah.
And then you got to come back together.
Yeah.
Mm.
Are you helping her heal through the hurt that you created?
Mm.
Or do you send her, how do you handle that?
Am I helping her heal through the hurt I created? Well, one thing I'll say is I'm going to acknowledge my stuff because I'm here. Mm-hmm. And yes, I caused some hurt. There were some things also on the other side, but I'm focusing on me and what I did. Yeah, I mean, it's the same as you all have to work when you're going through craziness in your life, right? You have to. It's crazy how we have to heal and work at the same time, and so for her, I think Charlamagne says it all the time. The best apology is changed behavior, right? And so right now it's all about the individual work.
The best apology is
Change behavior.
The best.
That hit different.
Yeah, I always hear him say that. I'm like, that is good. So, and you can't necessarily change that behavior unless you heal, right? And so the heal yourself. Like, we didn't start with any couples counseling. It was, you need the individual work. So individual work. And once again, it's all about rebuilding. One, knowing what we're trying to create and rebuilding. So yes, I am trying to make sure that she's okay because I'm thoughtful of how what I do makes her feel. But we also have those hard conversations that helps in the process. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I think you're just a super effective coach because I don't feel like I could work with a coach who isn't transparent enough to tell me how they've messed up. You feel me? Like, you can't even relate. It makes it stronger to me. Like, oh, you've been through it, and okay, you went through it last year. I'm going through it right now. I can rock with you versus somebody who says, "Yo, I help people. Okay, I got it all together. I can't trust that." Yeah. So I'm sorry.
No.
You.
That was a good. That was not a good question. That was a great question, man. And I think we often fall to the level of our questions, so we got to learn to ask more powerful questions, right? And I think that was a powerful question. And so I'll just say, very simple, like I always do when I'm in my keynotes, I say we do two things in life. We evolve or we evaporate. Pursue your purpose, not your dreams.
How do we find you? How do we find you?
At Joe Johnson Speaks on Instagram, healnow2021.com. Make sure you check me out. Come heal with your boy.
Wow.
There it is. Go get you some social proof, man. We will see you next episode.
Bye-bye.
Peace.